I was not satisfied with. Question number 3.
Thank you, Mr.
Nicky
Speaker.
Wagner.
To the Minister of Finance, what progress is the government making with its multi-billion dollar...
I'm sorry. The question was very difficult to hear at the start because of a level of interjection. Will the member start again? Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Nicky Wagner, question number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, what progress is the government making with its multi-billion dollar infrastructure investment program as part of its wider plan to build a more productive and competitive economy?
Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Bill English.
The 2013 National State of Infrastructure report issued today shows the government is making good progress. It shows a pipeline of around $14 billion of investment, including large investments in electricity transmission, the rollout of the ultra-fast broadband, major transport projects, including roads of national significance, completion of the Auckland Metro network begun under the previous government, and the Kiwi Rail turnaround plan. It also shows that regulatory changes made by this government to the relevant statutes have enabled 13 large projects to be consented in recent years when this would normally have taken up to 7 years.
Mr.
Supplementary question, Nicky Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, why has the government made investment in modern infrastructure a high priority within its wider economic program?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, it's made an investment because we have a very optimistic view about the future for growth in New Zealand, and we want the infrastructure investment to permit that growth rather than to smother it. So despite the recession and a tight financial situation, the government has set out on a large-scale program which, through difficult times in the job market, has supported thousands of jobs across New Zealand. We've also welcomed more private sector involvement in delivering public infrastructure, and this has been important to improving the efficiency and effectiveness of this investment.
Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Nicky Wagner.
To the Minister of Finance, what are some of the main areas to benefit from the government's significant investment in infrastructure?
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, I raise a point of order under Standing Order 3771B. Actually, this applies to all of the questions that Nicky Wagner has asked, and I was wondering if you were going to rule on either of the first two, that our questions mustn't contain arguments, inferences, imputations, epithets, ironical expressions or expressions of opinions. All of her questions have done that, and they should all be ruled out of order.
I don't know. I certainly didn't interpret that question that way. If members want to get down to adhering strictly to 377, I can do that, but it will hardly make it an interesting order. I ask the member to ask her question again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, what are some of the main areas to benefit from the government's significant investment in infrastructure?
Honourable Bill English.
Order.
Order. There's nothing. If the member's trying to say that question's out of order, then he's wrong.
I'm seeking clarification from you, Mr. Speaker, about whether speaking about the benefits of significant investment amounts to a breach of Standing Order 3771B.
Order. I would have preferred the question to be asked without the word significant, but I am not ruling the question out of order because it included the word significant. Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the answer is really a matter of fact rather than opinion.
Order.
Significant investments...
Order. I'm sorry to interrupt the member. That interjection from Grant Robinson directly questions the partiality of the Speaker. Well, that is a very serious interjection. Honourable Bill English to answer the question.
Mr. Speaker, the investments are significant because they're so large. The $5.9 billion investment in roading, $3 billion in rebuilding Christchurch, $1.7 billion in the health sector, $900 million for education, $690 million for the housing sector, $430 million for ultra-fast broadband, and these are just for the years 2012-13 and 2013-14.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. Yeah. Supplementary question.
Who won the diplomacy?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kia ora tātou. To the Minister, what can the residents of Raitihi, Turakina, Whangehu and Whanganui expect to receive out of the government's multi-billion dollar infrastructure investment program to support them in facing recent crisis events such as flooding and diesel spills in their river?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, in the case of, certainly in the case of the flooding, there are arrangements in place between the government and local councils for a degree of cost sharing where that's appropriate. These are provisions that have been in place for up to 10 years and were used, for instance, in the case of extensive flooding in the Manawatu a number of years back. And I can't comment in detail on the diesel spill issue. It would be better to ask the relevant minister.
Supplementary question, Nicky Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister of Finance, how will proceeds from the government share offer program to be invested out of the Future Investment Fund help to pay for new public infrastructure?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, one of the benefits of the government share offers is that they generate significant amounts of cash from New Zealanders who have the opportunity to invest in large New Zealand companies, and that cash is paid into the government bank account. In the case of Mighty River Power, around $1.7 billion. We can then use that cash to invest in public infrastructure without having to go and borrow it from foreign lenders, as any number of other people would prefer that we do. In the past two budgets, we've allocated around $2 billion from the Future Investment Fund into 21st century schools, new hospitals and the rebuild of Christchurch.
Question number 4, the Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Does he agree with the Dominion Post report